Yo, what's up, guys? You got pokeaim here, coach of the Bronx Beartics, and today I'll be going over my draft for the P4G. It's a Wi-Fi draft league that I joined, and it has a bunch of familiar faces. I'm actually playing A-Drive Week 1, which would be a lot of fun, but this draft league actually has, or this season is a lower tier draft with free moves when it comes to Z moves, which is really interesting. But basically, I'll be talking about my team, and I want to give a big shout out to Mighty Brolic and, of course, Gypsy King, who gave me some advice when it came to drafting, and I basically just picked what I wanted to use again, but made it a little bit better, in my opinion. Anyway, so our first pick is actually Zygarde 10%. Now, because this is pretty much, I want to say UU and down or RU and down, kind of based on tiering, I thought that Zygarde 10% would already be busted. I mean, 1,000 Arrows as a move in itself is already pretty busted. Has a great speed tier as well for down here, access to extreme speed, which is really nice, and the ability to run Z moves is really cool too, because it's just as strong as Zygarde 50%, though you can say not really, because this one is actually forced to run Jolly for the most part, whereas Zygarde 50% can always get away with running Adamant. But we'll see when it comes to draft, since I'm prepping based on what my opponent has. But 1,000 Arrows, priority and extreme speed, 1,000 waves as well, and it's a solid mon. Like, if you guys have seen Chimpact use it in the GVA as well, so I want it to be my first pick. And I kind of wanted to try it out again, just kind of paying respect to the GBA after my unfortunate ending of my run. But yep, Zygarde 10%, great offensive presence, and I really wanted it because, again, 1,000 Arrows seems really spammable. It just seems pretty busted. So next up, Incineroar. Now, I wanted Incineroar the second Intimidate was released back during the GBA as well. I thought it was really nice because Intimidate gives it a lot of potential. Has great setup moves, Swords Dance, access to knockoff, U-turn, and with Z moves it gets its own, obviously its own C move in Insinium Z, but great coverage, access to bulk up as well. So I thought as an offensive fire type it'd pair really well, and I really like the fact that it has that slow U-turn for potentially bigger threats on my team. For example, a nice slow U-turn into a Pokemon like Zygarde, and they actually pair really well together as well. Since Incineroar does resist the ice that Zygarde is weak to, and I wanted it because I thought Intimidate just gave me a lot of leeway to try out some really funky sets like SD or something with maybe like an Papa Bear, even an Assault Vest set. I just thought it had a really solid move pool and was a great Pokemon to abuse. Third, we actually ended up getting Roserade. Now, I thought Roserade was broken. Everybody tells me Roserade is broken, and it honestly is a pain to prep for. Strong moves in Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb. Technician makes Hidden Power strong as hell as well. The fact that it can run any Z moves, has access to Z Sunny Day as well, which can boost its speed. As well as Z Sleep Powder. Spikes, Toxic Spikes, gives me a Poison type as an Absorber. Gives me a nice Fire Grass core going on. And later we'll pick up a Water, as you guys will see. Natural Cure as well as Technician, two great abilities. I'm not too sure I'll be running Poison Point, but offensively, extremely hard to switch into, especially because we're playing with all the lower tiers, so I thought it'd be a busted mod to move. I know I'm kind of like going over them, but I'm just giving you my overall thought process. It's really quick when it comes to them, but I think that's a mod that can get away with running whatever it wants. It could be a good Choice Scarf user, Specs, Life Orb, Support Mon. I thought that Roserade is just a Pokemon that fills many roles, and offensively it is a pain to switch into, so that's why I wanted to use it. Next up, we ended up picking up Messberg, and Messberg I like a lot for its utility in Stealth Rock, U-turn, Healing Wish, Knockoff, great move pull, Calm Mind Sweeper, as well as Levitate, so that helps out my Incineroar and just gives me ground immunity as well. And you know, unless your Pokemon has Mold Breaker, you're not hitting me with a ground type attack, unless your name is Zygarde 10%, which is on my team. But Messberg gives me momentum, gives me a rocker, which I currently did not have, and Healing Wish support, so I can play my threats either offensively or even be its own Calm Mind Sweeper, and you know, decent stats across the board. And a mon I've used a lot in the past, so I thought that it would be just a good addition to the team. Next up, we have Seismitoad. Now, Seismitoad gives me a water type. It gives me another ground type as well, so an electric immunity, and it pairs really well with Zygarde in a sense that if my opponent has to pick between Hidden Power, if my opponent picks Hidden Power Ice, they can't hit Zygarde, or excuse me, they can't hit Seismitoad, whereas they pick Hidden Power Grass, they can't hit Zygarde as well, so it gives that little whole Hidden Power mind games, as well as a fire water grass core, like I said, a stealth rocker, access to water, absorb poison touch is pretty cool, decent move pulls all around, can rain dance as well. And I really wanted it because I wanted some immunities on my team. Like I love picking up poison type. Everybody knows I love picking up poison type. I think a poison type is needed, especially with T-spikes. I thought that Seismitoad would be great to abuse stuff like that because it has access to subs, like sub protect type sets, and just stealth rock, scald in general, knock off, just a bunch of different moves, and really bulky, as well as pretty decent offensively as well. So next up, Diancie was the Pokemon I picked, the fairy type on my team. At this point, I was kind of scrambling for a steel type since I've been sniped a few times, but I really like Diancie as it gave me a Trick Room option and a fairy type, so a dragon immunity, gives me heal bell support as well, and this could work really well with Z moves as well. Like I said, this is a free Z move type. Anybody can run Z moves on this. It doesn't really matter, which is good and bad in itself. Like, makes prepping a pain, but also makes it really fun as well. Like prepping for your opponent, but like for you, in a sense, I can run whatever the hell I want with a Z move. So Diancie gives me that nice Trick Room answer, a beautiful fire answer as well that can take any hit from most fire attacks, unless you're like Hidden Power Steel or Iron Tail and whatnot. Even then, Diancie can live it for the most part just because it's super bulky. And I thought being a nice Trick Room option, and also, like, as you guys saw, I picked up 3 Stealth Rockers in a row, so I'm not really pressed for, you know, hazards, right? I don't have to bring 1 mon every week to get up Stealth Rock, and that's all it could do, or limit its sweeping potential because it's doing Stealth Rock. So at the moment, we have 3 Stealth Rockers, and I thought the Diancie would be a great pair. Gives me a Rock type as well. So a flying resist, which I thought was really nice. And again, that fairy type, so a dragon immunity. Next up, Hariyama. Now, I was really happy about this thing because priority in Thick Out and Bullet Punch. It has great abilities in Thick Fat and Guts. Guts is amazing, especially with Flame Orb, making this thing incredibly hard to switch into. And it has such a high HP stat that it makes it really bulky. Access to knockoff. Again, fighting types with Guts just really, really, really love the burn nerf this generation, and I thought Hariyama would be just a pain to switch into. Pairs really well with Diancie as well. Diancie, of course, resisting the flying type that threatens Hariyama, and it just went well with the team and just gave me either a support option, or not really a support option, but a great assault vest user if I wanted to, but also like a wall breaker in itself, because Flame Orb Hariyama is not to be messed with, and it's so bulky that you're not going to knock this thing out unless it's like a choice specs move or a boosted move or whatnot. Now, Duosion was my next pick. We got Hard Body Baby, literally Hard Body Baby right here. I love Reuniclus. Everybody knows I love Reuniclus, and I thought it'd be really cool to use in this too. It actually has as much special attack as Reuniclus, and it has, on the bright side, it can use an Eviolite. And while obviously that leaves me susceptible to knockoff, whereas Reuniclus can now run Z moves and whatnot, which is not allowed in this. Reuniclus in itself, but I think it's not allowed. Maybe it was allowed. Maybe it got drafted. Well, actually, it might have been drafted. I don't remember. It might have been allowed, and somebody might have actually drafted it. Whatever. At that point, I couldn't get Reuniclus anyway. Even if it was allowed, I'm pretty sure it is actually. Thinking about it, I think somebody actually drafted it. But we also needed to get, like, I think 3 picks from this section of the draft that were like NFEs and whatnot. So I thought Duosion would be a great pick because, again, great special attack stat, has access to Trick Room, can be a cool Magic Guard Endeavor set, has access to Regenerator as well, can be a Combine Sweeper. This mod is so bulky. I loved it back in Black and White NU, using it as a Combine Sweeper, and pairs well. Gives me a fighting resist as well, and a status absorber. I mean, I already have another status absorber. I have like 3 status absorbers so far. I have Hariyama, which doesn't care because it has Guts. I have Duosion because of Magic Guard, and I have Roserade, which has Natural Cure. So as far as status goes, I think I'm okay. And Duosion just fit with the team, as well as giving me, speed control in the Trick Room as, a potential Trick Roomer as well. So Mawile was my next pick. I wanted a Steel type, and it also gives me another Stealth Rocker. But I wanted a Steel type, and obviously it doesn't take, it does take the Dragon type moves because it's immune to it, but it's not like a Steel type that is going to repeatedly take hits from strong special attackers, because no, it's not. Mawile doesn't have good special defense. But with Intimidate and good resistances, being Steel and Fairy, access to Sheer Force, as well as, like I said, Intimidate, can Swords Dance as well, Sucker Punch, Knockoff is there, Pain Split, Super Fang, the Elemental Punches, Play Rough, of course, Iron Head, and again, Sheer Force to boost those. I thought that Mawile would be a pretty cool addition as well. Giving me, yes, it's slow, but it also gives me that steel type that I felt like I needed because I didn't want to just be spammed on by Draco. Obviously, I have two fairy types, and they're both, dual typing. They both suffer from some weaknesses, but we have good checks to Mawaw's weakness and, ground and fire. I have great fire resistances on my team, and I have good ground immunities, or a good ground immunity at this point. Just one good ground immunity, though. So my next pick is actually another ground immunity, which is Vullaby. Gives me a dark type. Another dark type added with Incineroar. Gives me hazard control and defog, because at that point I didn't actually have defog on my team. So while I probably won't be pressed to defog too much, having access to knockoff, overcoat, which is really nice, so he can't be put to sleep by Spore or hit by powder moves in general, and giving me momentum with U-turn, a nice slow U-turn, access to Tailwind, even has Nasty Plot as well. And from the Violet, Vullaby is very, very bulky. Just gave me that hazard control that I typically lack when it comes to drafting, and a nice solid dark type and a nice solid knockoff user, though my entire team is a bunch of solid knockoff users, to be fair. But gives me another ground immunity, which I like alongside Messberg, and helps the team a bit. But I don't really feel too weak to ground type attacks anyway, because I have the best ground type attacker in the tier, which is Zygarde. In my opinion, that's the best ground type attacker, because it's a ground type attacker that isn't stopped by anything in the air. But last but not least, this is my last pick, and I decided on Tauros. Tauros gives me some speed control, has Intimidate, as well as the Sheer Force ability. Has a good special move pool, which might not seem like much on base. I think it's base 40 special attack. But what Tauros does is, with Sheer Force and Life Orb, it can actually, deal with Pokemon like Pharaoh Seed, or Pokemon like pretty much Pokemon that are 4 times weak to a move. Tauros will have it. Ice Beam, Fire Blast, Thunder. I say Thunder because I use that in Pokemon Coliseum. But as well as Earthquake, and then it has moves like Body Slam and Zen Headbutt, stuff to abuse the Sheer Force, access to Pursuit as well, a fast Pursuit type, and also an immunity to Ghost, which is really nice for the team. So I thought the team was really well balanced and gives me a lot of options, a lot of play styles. Obviously, I do want to know your guys' opinion on it, but I'm really excited, and also really excited for week 1 to be playing A-Drive. So hopefully you guys coming out and support the Bronx Beartics, and yeah, I know this is really rushed, or it felt kind of rushed, but I didn't really have much to say about the Pokemon. Like, I picked them because I thought that'd be cool, but they actually do have a lot of great synergy together, and I think that this team gives me a lot of potential to do whatever I want. So I can run offense, I can run a fat type of team even if I wanted to, or a balanced type of squad. But yeah, I think that this team gives me a whole lot of potential. But yeah, I do want to know your thoughts. Feel free to leave them down below. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.